Adesima mema munyina adwuma munyina kwa ba ene Ghana mante woni ewo ene ye Black Stars evening ye momumo ene adwuma somote omaga na nim Morocco mamu won akohye Madagascar fo kaporpore miensa abra to hwe aha no obi ani park ne so nti no bi man so nti Ghana fo kakra bi na kwaye oseye Ghana o ye nyina ye wo ha e de empa abo ne oseye tawo machi omwadi nkum de ama yende a na ayiko ene de ma Black Star team no and free technical team and management nyina and ye ba fi ye ba be kenkan ye kase bo atwato and dwoi e de amamomiden de agya kwabra me ne
abna ba yi nyano
ye kase bo e de bram de bedi mu akutini bi ni se ene ye mampani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama e de ato asrafo mpanyfo yi o manim se wo mo hwanya dwuma emfa mo man ho ban
na aban lawyer panyi Dr. Dominic Ayini e de atodwa se kane kwankyerefo panyi Emma National Signals Bureau ora kwabna edu boahini nti omo kire ne se contract bi okosan ye no emusika ekọ na account
na sa press conference omanyi pani and as attorney general eye ne dey no ensem bebre epepe de from de bisase so we na mutu aban no etuo so obekon edetia katahye ene proye ana
na eye odumunyanfo Cecilia Abnada pa ho nsensem no de epie efrimu ene se empempene adia na medifo ekowiaye no say yese eye kane asante hina otumfo say to odikan ne ho kani eniema asese die akwakopie mu ewo menhye de ho nsem enso
ensem ka ho ena yede ebram na yeka musabo for special assessio no special drink this way mfofo ni tabekwan afrika sebo no emu ensem ni ena Ghana ye mampene His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ejina tumi a wo man ne de ahye no so ama woman yi eye asrafo ba asumfokuo woda omadi anase wo musai ene eye Armed Forces Council na ebra mampani eda bedwekwa ye memma makomako enson adi no wodo to mani kire se wo behia pa se se wo ye bambofo no wo mbe ye omadwuma wo brom de mmra ne hyehyeye a efo omadwuma no be adwuma kate se na be betumi aboa na enkonko ba se wo ye yiyimu afa no achi so mode ani da ho ene oman ho do ebe ye adwumaden se ne be ya oman ne bambo ebetumi agina penti.
From ensuring peace in our communities to responding to security threats across the sub-region, you've continued to demonstrate unwavering commitment and sacrifice. Your service underlines the highest ideals of patriotism, duty, honor, and for this you have the full appreciation of the government and people of Ghana. Today, as we swear in the distinguished members of the Armed Forces Council, we reaffirm the critical role of this body in the governance and administration of our military. The responsibility placed on your shoulders as a council is one of great national importance. The strength of our armed forces depends not only on the bravery of the men and women in uniform, but also on the leadership, policies, and decisions that guide them. Your mandate is clear: to provide strategic leadership and oversight that ensures the Ghana Armed Forces remain an effective, modern, and disciplined force. To uphold the highest standard of governance, professionalism, and accountability within the military. To safeguard the welfare of our officers, men and women who risk their lives in the service of our nation. The decisions you make as a council will shape the future of our armed forces. It is therefore imperative that you approach this duty with wisdom, integrity, and a deep commitment to national service.
Aban lawyer panyi Dr. Dominic Ayini ene centralfo nhyiamu a woyeye ene odi tudwa se kane kwankyerefo panyi Emma National Signals Bureau ora kwabna edu boaheni nti omokyere no nyina ene se osign contract bi na sika na ewomu no eye $7 million na omode kwa akoto cyber defense system ebetimi aboa na dwumadi ahodo ayedi ewo Abefontentan fidie so ho kro no ebetimi aso ano edo na okire mu se sa sika no ebi ekọ na account mu ene ne yere account mu nti eno maye nhwemu adoma sukwa akwa hu na empanyifo ekire no.
So at about 9 p.m. on Thursday, March 20th, 2025, an an operation carried out by a team of investigators from the Economic and Organized Crime Office, which is under the Ministry of Justice, led to the arrest of Mr. Kobina Eduboahin. The arrest was effected at the Kotoka International Airport in Accra when Mr. Eduboahin disembarked from a British Airways flight. Mr. Eduboahin is the immediate past Director General of the National Signals Bureau of the National Security Council. At about midday on Friday, March 21st, 2025, the investigators went on to arrest Madam Angela Ejie-Boateng, whom I have indicated is the wife of Mr. Eduboahin. Madam Angela, the couple are shareholders and directors of a list of companies which the investigation establishes have been used for transactions which form the subject matter of the investigations. Mr. Eduboahin, who is the head or who was the head of the BNC, and his wife are listed as directors of the private BNC. Okay, so they registered the company, and they, the two of them, together are the directors of the company, the two directors of the company. On October 26, 2018, the couple opened a corporate account for their private BNC at Universal Merchant Bank, UMB. According to the mandate on the account, either of the directors could sign checks and approve transactions on the account. In his capacity as director of the National BNC, Mr. Eduboahin on January 30th, 2020, signed a contract on behalf of the government of Ghana and the National Security Council on the one hand, and on a company called ISC Holdings Limited. The contract was for the purchase of a cyber defense system software at a price of $7 million United States of American dollars. Let us call this contract the GOG ISC contract. On February 6, 2020, Mr. Eduboahin then transferred an initial amount of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis, that is from the National BNC's operations account at Fidelity Bank to the private BNC account at UMB. Official documentation on the transfer revealed that the amount was for the payment of cyber defense system software, which the National BNC was buying from ISC Holdings in Israel. Mr. Eduboahin, in effect, transferred the money from the National BNC to his private company, the private BNC. A review of the transactions on the bank accounts reveals that once the funds from the National BNC landed in the account of his private BNC at UMB Bank, Mr. Eduboahin caused his private BNC to transfer an amount of 9,537,520 Ghana cedis to ISC Holdings in Israel. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was the Ghana cedi equivalent of 1,750,000 United States of American dollars.
Si ahwefo beka ya enche bia na beto dwa se National Security for akọ Nkane Bank of Ghana governor Yewrade Senifie akọ sisa nema bi chese hwehwemu no moye na abrasa no baa na manfo kasa defo ebinum chese omanye niye ebinum chese omoye niye na so mo kire se eyade omugina tumi so na mkokoye sa na ebrasa nsem baa na donko omra hye bedwa mu no omobando dani oniyanfo afanyoma kede tudwa ekiremu se owura adese chese bra nipa ne ba ne ho no won be wi anema ho omu wi 10,000 Ghana cedis enum se wi agudie bi ne manema bi na chese ekoro no mkobo na mu no enye se bi a wo mo kwese wo mo kwakohwehwe nemam na no nansanchofo nhie mo ekos ni Dr. Dominic Ayine ede atudi ekiremu se na ne ya se onunya fafanyuma ke na kasasa esansa na mpanyifo beko urade se fie no no mu kwaptu mikrata efri high court so betu akohwe nsemu ansa na mo koye enye se bi mo sori akeke na mo koye na wo kira nsema wodo bi piepie pa eyekokwamu nsemu a efa owura de se ho a won pese obeka na mmom owura fanyuma ke nim na oposu nunu mu obetene kankan so onimu a enkomotwehwe bi ne voice bi a eye Dr. Addison de no odbaba bonten ama Ghana fo nyina ate.
In 2017, policemen came to my house with guns. I didn't call a press conference to say that this was a raid. They showed me a warrant that they were conducting investigations into a transaction in respect of which I had written a legal opinion. That is the Ameri deal. And they came to my house, okay, with guns. Did anyone, can you go back to the internet to check if I said that this was a raid on my house? So how come that a search of the governor's house based upon credible intelligence that we received, and I was the one who applied for the warrants and got them issued by the High Court for the searches to be conducted? Why is that a raid? Are some people now above the law that we cannot conduct a legally sanctioned search? Maybe they are above the law. Okay, but no one is above the law in this country. We are all subject to the Constitution. And in terms of the Constitution, under Article 18, all right, there are limits to what you can do by saying that you cannot, your house should not be searched. So we obtain warrants, and if the media wants, I can make those warrants available. Okay, so there was no raid on his house, and there was nothing illegal or unconstitutional about what we did. But they are deciding to bastardize me and to bastardize the operatives of the national security by even saying that during the raid, which for me wasn't a raid, it was a constitutionally sanctioned search, they stole 10,000 Ghana cedis. All right? Now, what an insult. Okay? And that is what my Deputy Attorney General was referring to when he said that, you know, the constitutional immunity granted to MPs does not mean that they should abuse that immunity and then, you know, defame individuals or officials who are conducting normal business, normal public business, all right? And ladies and gentlemen of the media, let me tell you, we have a recording of Addison and what he said about the raid. So if Afenyo Markin, the Honorable Minority Leader, is daring me, we'll make that recording available. So he should desist from maligning law enforcement officers and myself for the work that we are doing. He should also take cognizance of the fact that I am the leader of the bar, and I will act in the best interest of the ethics of the profession. Everyone at the bar knows me for that. So I won't do anything unethical, and I have advised both EOCO and National Security about staying within the bounds of the law in conducting investigations. So he should not abuse his parliamentary immunity by libeling or defaming public officials who are conducting normal, legally sanctioned, public business.
Na Dr. Dominic Ayini esan edaine di say Kane Kwankyerɛ for Panyima National Service Authority ora osei esibe entry otuya MPB sika eka che ne say said the National Service Authority payroll scandal na aba no said the ekosoro na no odinti no won fa sa sika ne nkonhwe sensentrofo derubo nyuma omo ebe kataso kakra enunti eno eyade baako a omo ehunu ena wo kire mu say say hwehwemu omaye no enipan wotwe omususu say omo ho bon sa ensem no mu no omatoto oma no ama said the anu ye ne ba kra kire say omodifo.
They should take this very seriously, the other suspects, for purposes of our investigation and prosecution. Okay, we may have to use some of them as prosecution witnesses. If they give us the offer, fine. If they don't want to cooperate with this evidence, I don't see how they and the suspect will get out of, being convicted. But of course, they will have to be, their guilt will have to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. So I'm not being presumptuous, but we have all the evidence all the evidence from what you can see from the enumeration that we have all the evidence, including receipts of payments and withdrawals, slips and so on. So this is for suspect Eduboahen and his wife. Now, I want to say something briefly about the oral investigations. Now, in respect of oral, significant work is going on in relation to the investigations of the allegations of looting of state resources contained in the oral report submitted to me a few weeks ago. In view of the fact that these matters are still under investigation, I will not go into the details as I have done with the case of Eduboahen. But I can confirm that investigations will conclude in the National Service and SkyTrain scandals by the middle of April for prosecutions to begin. In the National Service scandal, 8 suspects have been interrogated, and a good number of them have started singing. They are cooperating with our they've started singing, literally. Yeah? So we will give you details of their songs at the appropriate time. In view of the fact that, so indeed, we now have evidence of payments that were made into the accounts of the top executives of the National Service by vendors, private vendors, and staff of the scheme. We also have evidence that in November 2024, and listen to this carefully, the CEO of the National Service Scheme and others paid a Ghanaian MP to kill the story in the media and to defend them. Now, this is a developing story, and more will come out very soon.
Wasa nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ nhyia mu na sɛ press conference ya ho ɛna dɔnkuma na hyɛ bedwa mu so ayɛ nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ nhyia mu ama deputy chief whip ɛde ma dɔnkuma no yɛ onunyamfoɔ Ahmed ɛna ɛkasa Shaib ɛna ɛkasa yɛ na ne sɛ mo ka nyina ne sɛ kame ɛsɛ attorney general yi no sɛ de osi kasa yɛ ne nneɛma no nya de so ani kura wɔkyɛ sɛ attorney general bia n'adwuma ne sɛ ɔbɛhwɛ aboa sɛ de bɛyɛ a ɔde mmara a ɛwɔ ɔman mu no ɛho ɛhyehyɛ ne akwankyerɛ ebe manyu beku ahodo amotu an hwehwe ma fansam no na wotu bi de akokɔto nso mo akokɔkodie na so be sentwerofo nhia mu ebu ankrɔfo atan obedwam wo bra nhwemu enkoye mfa enko awiye na asam no so kopie court no anya de a eye kora so begyae a wonyai.
Photographs circulating on social media clearly shows signs of destruction and ransacking, hardly the marks of a lawful and respectful operation. If indeed a court-issued warrant truly existed, why was it not presented to Dr. Addison before or during the raid? Why was brute force used to overpower his private security? Why was the CCTV camera dismantled and taken away? Transparency is a hallmark that ensures lawful enforcement. The failure to follow basic procedure cast doubt on the legality and intent of the operation. No amount of legal contortion or public relations spin can undo the facts. Dr. Addison's home was raided under highly questionable circumstances. If the actions were truly lawful and above board, why did the National Security Coordinator find it necessary to call and apologize to Dr. Addison via the phone of Mr. Richard Jakpa? If there was no wrongdoing with the conduct of the security officers, what exactly was the apology for? Was the raid a necessary and lawful one? Or was it an abuse of power designed to intimidate and humiliate? The posture of the new AG undermines this rule. He is no longer acting as an officer of the court, but is instead acting as someone who has conducted his own inquisition, determined guilt of a suspect, and is seeking to force his view or his views on the courts. The practice undermines the role of the Attorney General and undermines the administrative administration of justice. All well-meaning voices that respect the operation of the rule of law should call on it to an end and to end it now as we speak. We are asking that all well-meaning voices that respect the operation of the rule of law should call on the Attorney General to put an end to this immediately.
Abusiafo yebegyina ha ne ahome kase ebo so abaye ba yebedi enkomo enne aban lawyer panyi Dr. Dominic Ayini nsentwerefo nhyiamu ekansem bebre na nsem wo kan no yekwa ba ye de honkomo.